How to find a partner and get married. It is widely accepted nowadays that first, Cupid's arrow is essential for attraction. You don't have to have approval of your family, faith, or society. You write your own promises, make your money, and plan your own future. How to celebrate your marriage and love? You celebrate them on Valentine's Day, on Star Festival with flowers, chocolates, dinners, cases, etc. But most of human society, love was not at all the point of marriage. Today, we trace back to ancient roots of marriage both in China and in the West, and we've come to understand what helped men and women refresh their minds. Marriage is love-based. At last, we'll see what are the new challenges to love-based marriage at present, and what will be the future of love-based marriage. Patriarchy is a social system where the father, husband, is absolute head of the family. The word literally means rule of fathers. In China, Confucianism gave a lot of influence on marriage. Dictionary word and the expression explain it as 父从女, 迟走,傻走也, 会以为服侍人者. The Chinese written character is composed of two radicals, one meaning a woman and the other a broom. Gu Hongming follows a classical reading and says, the Chinese feminine ideal is an ideal with a broom in her hand to sweep and clean the rooms with. 三从四德. A wife's identity is first regulated by Ban Zhao, a Confucian scholar, by what is summed up as the three obediences and four virtues. Three obediences. It means that when a woman is unmarried, she is to live for her father. When married, she is to live for her husband. And as a widow, she is to live for her children. Four virtues. Womanly characters, womanly conversation, womanly appearance, womanly work. To summarize, the four virtues means that women don't need brilliant ability, be different from others, don't need to be clever in debate or be keen in conversation, don't need a pretty or perfect face and form, don't need to have her work done more skillfully than others. In West, the mode of Roman paterfamilias remained dominant in West until into the 19th century. The Roman paterfamilias means the father of the family. Father legally have absolute power over every member in the family, including wife, of course. A wife was expected to be modest, chaste, obedient, hardworking, industrious, and virtuous. And she was expected to produce and raise children. Wives also had a lot of household chores. Then, we give a brief summary. Traditional marriage in China and in West wear the same code of patriarchy. Marriage was not a mere personal matter concerning only husband and wife, but rather, marriage was a way of getting to know, of making alliances, and expanding the family neighbor force. Surely, men and women fell in love during thousands of years, but what marriage had in common was that it really was not about a relationship between the man and the woman. Woman was inferior to men. As a result, there were a lot of man-in-love tragedies. 父母之命，媒妁之言. For example, a father arranged the most advantageous marriage for his son and then had a contract signed before witnesses. The young couple might never have met before. There were also a lot of tragic love stories both in China and in West, like Zhao Zhongqing and Liu Lanzhi and Antony and Cleopatra. It took a long way for love to play a major role in marriage. And when the practice of marriage in China remained almost unchanged until quite a modern time, marriage in West has gradually evolved to based on love. We just highlight the critical historical moments which helped to get love-based marriage evolved. In West, monogamy became the guiding principle for Western marriages sometimes between the 16th and the 19th centuries. The Church eventually prevailed, with monogamy becoming central to the notion of marriage by the 19th century. Marriage in the West were originally contracts between the families of the two partners. In 1215, the Catholic Church commanded that partners had to publicly post notice of an impending marriage in local region. Until the 15th century, the Church accepted the couple's word that they exchanged marriage vows. Church and monogamy plays a role to pave the way for the coming of a love-based marriage. But love as a primary reason for marriage began to spread in the late 18th century and early 19th century, when Enlightenment thinkers in this age promote the right to personal happiness. Modern markets also allow women to play a greater economic role, which lead to their greater independence and more free choice based on liberty. So it's more possible for young people to say, "Hi, I'm going to marry who I want." Finally, by about 50 years ago, the notion that men and women had identical obligations with marriage began to take root. Most partners take it for granted that they should have flexible divisions of labor, companionship, and mutual sexual attraction. In China, marriage today has been influenced by many of the revolutionary and feminist movements that have occurred in the 20th century. In particular, the May 4th movement called for men and women to interact freely in public and to make marriage a free choice based on true love. This freedom of choosing one's spouse was codified in the 1950 marriage law. In 1967, John Lennon wrote a song called "All You Need Is Love." 35 years later, Trent Reznor wrote a song called "Love Is Not Enough." The two songs have reflected the dramatic changes that happened to love-based marriage. The revolution in marriage has brought the changes we like and also the changes we don't like. Is it ironic to base marriage on love, the delusive and the most transcendent passion? Here are some challenges for love-based marriage at present. We no longer assume we will marry or marry for a lifetime. In America, though divorce rate is declining in recent years, a much larger percentage of women avoid marriage and childbearing altogether. China's divorce rate has soared more than 700% since 1980. Marriage is no longer defined by gender. Gay marriage in America is legal in 35 states. The end of a marriage is usually defined by the declining of emotional feelings toward one partner. Studies show that 45 to 55% of the people will stray at some point in their marriage. Where are we headed? Return to some golden age of marriage? Or is marriage on the verge of extinction? But we'll not try to turn back the clock. There are no positive experiences which we can borrow from past forms of marriage. We must seek for ways to make marriage more possible for couples and to strengthen the marriages they contract. Dr. Trami Nelson offers some predictions about the future for love-based marriage. In the future, marriage will be defined by shorter, more renewable contracts. In the future, gay marriage will have been legal for decades. More of us will be bisexual and even transsexual. In the future, Couples will have a monogamy agreement with more open, honest conversation. Perhaps we'll have many soulmates. Anyway, into this climate of gender equality and personal choice, we must realize that a successful marriage requires different traits, skills, and behaviors than in the past.